Hi, I'm Kathy Buccio.
And I'm Derek Latta. We're here today to talk about a very unique form of therapy,
Yes.
equine therapy, horse therapy. And to help explain a little bit more is Shelly Green. She's the co-founder of A Stable Place. And Davie, welcome to the show, Shelly.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
I feel like we're the Smart Life Cowboys here in the Stable Place today.
Where's my hat? Producer, where's our hats? No hats?
And our horse.
She got the
okay.
I got the
boots.
boots.
Shelly, great name, Stable Place, very appropriate for what you do here. Can you explain to our viewers a little bit more what it is that you do, how long you've been here?
Absolutely. Stable Place is an equine assisted therapy organization. We're a nonprofit. We've been here since 2012, but I've been doing this work since 2009 in collaboration with Nova Southeastern University's Family Therapy Program. So we just got interested in bringing horses into the world of therapy because we think they offer something really unique. They're magnificent creatures and they change what we do as therapists. It's an experiential model where we don't do so much talking but more experiencing hands-on with the horses.
How did you find it that this was more effective form of therapy, especially when helping families or couples, because you help everyone?
Absolutely. We work with kids, we work with families, individuals, couples, we run a lot of groups. And what we find is that sometimes talk therapy, although I've been a talk therapist for 25 years, I love it, I believe in it, but sometimes it can be limiting. People might not want to just come out and talk about what's going on in their lives. They might want to be in an experience, and when you bring people out of nature, it changes them. And when you put them next to an 1,100-pound animal, it changes them more. And when you ask them to cooperate and collaborate with that 1,100-pound animal, we find that people really show up at the barn with the horses like they show up in life. So that gives us a glimpse into their relationships and to how they might make subtle changes that can really make a transformative difference for them in those relationships.
We felt that with Cookie a little
Oh,
bit,
yeah.
right? We felt that energy shift.
I sure did.
Horses are amazing. They're like a little barometer. They tell you what's going on with you. And if you want them to be different, you have to change yourself. So it starts by changing yourself.
And they're very honest. Horses like children, they'll tell you as it
They
like
don't
it is at
edit,
the
they
moment.
don't lie. Whatever you bring them, they will feed that right back to you.
Well,
Absolutely.
I was going to ask you, why horses? Why choose horses?
It's a great question. So horses are prey animals. So unlike a dog who's a predator, a dog will just come up and if you give it a treat, it's going to lick you and want to be your friend in most cases.
Right.
A horse's number one job in life is to stay alive. They're prey animals. So everything in nature is potentially a predator to a horse. So that horse's number one job is to scan always for danger. And if they don't feel safe, they will leave. They will flee. They won't stay in a setting that they don't feel safe in. So then as clients come in and need to collaborate and cooperate with this horse, they have to find a way to build a bond. The horse will not automatically come up and trust you. You have to pay attention to what you're bringing because the horse will respond to what it is that you bring.
What kind of exercises then are we talking about when you bring in, let's use the example of a couple.
Yes.
A couple comes in and they want equine therapy. What kind of exercises are you doing with the horse and the couple?
Very simple. So we really believe here that simple is better. So we might have the couple just come in, spend 10 or 15 minutes just getting to know the animals, and we're watching. So how do they approach? Do they go right up? Are they comfortable? Are they not so comfortable? Are they afraid? If maybe they've never been around horses before, we give them time to just be with the horses. Then we might ask them to do something very simple like put a halter on the horse, snap a lead rope on and take it for a walk. Sounds simple. The horse might not cooperate with that. And if the clients are insecure or frightened or anxious, then that's something that we want to utilize because in all our relationships we experience fear and anxiety. So that just translates right into the work that they're doing with the horses.
So that's why you use horses. It's a monster animal. They're beautiful,
They're
but they can be
beautiful and
dangerous.
magnificent.
And they also make great therapists.
They make great
Obviously,
co-therapists.
Exactly.
They're-
So
they're
for somebody
totally
to gain a
honest.
horse's trust, they have to work at it.
Yes.
So that's what they have to do in a relationship. to
And
earn
that
the
can feel
trust.
really compelling when you have this horse who maybe wasn't so interested in being with you and you turn yourself around and you find that horse really connecting with you and being in the moment with you. That can be a really powerful feeling that you maybe mastered your fear or found a way to connect and reach out to that horse in a way that he or she could respond to.
That's a great analogy, Derek. I
It
like
is.
that. It's you can definitely apply it to the couples, the same thing with families and redirecting that energy as well. And I understand you use students from Nova
Yes,
to be a part
absolutely.
of this program, great therapists that you also have on staff, correct?
It's a key component of our program that we are a partnership with Nova Southeastern University's Family Therapy Program. So we first started this work by bringing out students and training them to become better therapists in their interactions with the horses. So as a therapist, one of the first things we have to do is build rapport and connection with the client. And to learn to do that with horses can be very powerful because, as you said, they won't edit, they won't just give it to you. You have to really reflect on what it is you're bringing. So those students who were training to become better therapists through working with the horses got really fascinated with this work, and this is how the clinical program has grown and built so that all of our therapists here at Stable Place are trained through the family therapy program at NSU.
So I'm sure you have to convince couples to try the equine therapy. I'm sure the students are a little dubious when they find out they're going to be working doing this. They haven't heard about this before. How do you convince them to come on board?
The horses convince them. Once they come out to the barn, no, this is our joke, no one ever wants to leave, and it's true.
No, we
Once
thought we were
they
going to
get
be riding
here-
horses.
And that is key because a lot of people assume that we would be riding horses, but all of our work is unmounted. It's all done on the ground. It's really about mental health and personal growth and professional growth and utilizing the horses as partners on the ground to build that connection.
Do you have any examples, a brief example of maybe a client that you had that was successful in their therapy?
Absolutely. We worked with a woman many years ago who came in with a lot of trauma in her life, a lot of addiction issues. She was really struggling with a lot and a lot of failed relationships. So she came in very anxious, but also extremely eager to be with the horses. So she came in the arena with 2 horses, and she was so eager that she would just run up and try to grab their muzzles.
Wow.
And if you think about a horse being a prey animal, that's not going to feel safe and comfortable for them. So repeatedly, she would try this, and the horses would leave. And she immediately started to cry and said, "This is what happens
It's
in
a
my
reflection
life."
of the relationship.
Very much, and she saw that. We didn't have to point that out. She said, "This is what happens in my life. People leave. I want to be close to them and they leave." So we spent the whole session with her, inviting her to try different ways to be with the horses. And by the end of the session, she had 2 horses surrounding her. She was braiding their manes and crying and noticing that when she changed, they were in a huge arena. They chose to be right with her. So that's an example of the kind of transformations that can happen in a really brief period of time. That was probably an hour session. I might not have gotten that far with her in 10 talk therapy sessions.
What about family? So how, if you're talking about family dynamic,
Yes.
how does that play out here?
So we really see that people show up at the barn with the horses the way they show up in life. So we don't spend a lot of time talking about content with the families. We put them in a situation where they're being asked to do a simple obstacle course or something with the horses, and we see that they interact with each other and kind of show us where their struggle and growth points are. And then we can invite them to push through those challenges, see what works, try something different, face their fears. And working with the horses, they're getting that feedback all of the time. So we can see a tremendous amount of growth in a very short period of time in a family session.
Shelley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.